Hello and welcome to Retrotainment Recast, the show that we bring to you every Thursday night with myself, Greg, my co-host Ted, and my other co-host Carl. As you can see, I am hosting tonight, which means my illustrious fifth reign and week after week of demolitions came to an end last week, which was very disappointing in a bad title defense.
Crushed.
I did say at the start of it I wasn't happy with it though.
You did, yeah. No,
This is true. It happens.
So, gents, I'll introduce you. We have Ted. Everyone knows Ted.
Reigning champ.
I thought I'd let you do that. I thought you wanted to be a bit more charismatic with that one, but
no, my reigns have been short and sweet recently, so I don't have the pomp that a champ normally has anymore.
To be fair, though,
Four-time champ, isn't it?
Four-time, but only the first one was a good one.
Tied longest.
Yeah.
With myself.
Unfortunately, then, yes. Hoping for another long one here.
We have the other five-time champ in Carl Sherlock.
Oh yeah.
Carl, how are you?
I'm all good. Just not. I don't know if I'm happy about this one or not. It's kind of a weird one.
I went. Obviously, everyone knows my love for horror and creature features being mine, so I gave the boys a doozy here in the 1999 Anaconda.
Yeah.
And what a movie it is.
I cast this very similarly to the way they were cast.
97, by the way, not 99.
Oh, sorry, no, it's 97, yeah.
I'm going to say that. I cast them very similar to the way they were cast, I think.
I think I did as well. I think I did as well, and I actually think, and I'm going to say this at the outset, I think if Carl was judging here, I might win more points with certain people I've cast here than I will with Greg.
I quite like a lot of my picks. Now, I will say, obviously, being the judge is not going to make it. There's one in particular that I guarantee would win. And when we get, I will start with it as well when we start it off. But you know the usual, gents. When I'm on thing, I went through the rules in the dressing room. I want a nice clean fight. We're gonna get the photos in. Okay, make sure my phone has battery. I get the photos in.
3,
2, 1. And in the words of the great Mills Lane, let's get it on. Right, gents. I had one that I was 100% certain would win, and I'm going to start with it. We're going to start with Westridge.
Yeah, Jonathan Hyde.
What a man.
Okay,
what a character in this movie.
Very, very good in this. So, as Carl said at the start, he kind of cast these the way they were cast in the original.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of sticking with because I still think their characters still need to be the same. And for this, Westridge is the voiceover artist of this ensemble.
A distinctive voice.
He has that voice, like, you know, he's got that voiceover artist. You know, he's the narrator of the documentary they're recording. So I decided,
philanthropist as well, isn't he?
He is a philanthropist of it as well, but I decided that that's what I wanted to stick with because I think that's one of the defining characteristics. So I had two people here. So the first one I went with was Patrick. This isn't the one I chose as my backup, was Patrick Warburton, who does very good narration.
Mm-hmm.
But I stepped away from him because he's a unit.
He is a very, very
big old unit, and unfortunately that doesn't work with Westridge because Westridge is kind of a small, timid character, so it doesn't really work to have someone that big. He would be able to play the kind of philanthropist rich guy though, but his physical size just probably takes it away from him. So I went with someone else that we've used quite recently. Both of you have used in recent episodes, in Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay.
Who does voiceover work and narration for a couple of films now.
Does he? Yeah, I haven't seen him much. Really.
And he's not in the film because he's
but you'd notice the voice, but I obviously just haven't seen it.
You wouldn't, genuinely. I like if you go and listen to it, you would not know it's Kiefer Sutherland. That's the thing. It's very narrator voice. But he's also he's got that kind of slim build, and you can picture him being kind of that old wealthy guy, but also timid of the, you know, of the rest of the people on the boat with him.
And the big ass snake.
Yeah, and not liking the big ass snake. But I mean, everyone should be timid of that big ass snake, to be honest.
This is one that I actually do really like my pick on.
Okay.
So I did go with someone with a very distinctive voice and speaking mannerisms. I also went with someone who you can definitely see as a philanthropist. I went with Jeff Goldblum.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, it is a good one.
I think he do this. I think he would really do this role very well.
You don't even know how much I use that saying.
Yeah. No, Jeff Goldblum is a very good one. Possibly just a little bit too old for the role here. I think
Kiefer Sutherland's pretty old if you're comparing.
I think Kiefer's a couple of years younger, isn't he? Kiefer's in his 50s, whereas I think Goldblum's 70.
Yeah.
True, but this is a philanthropist who's literally funding it so he can get his own voiceover work.
Yeah, but I don't know if a 70-year-old is like, I want to go out on this boat in this.
Not a usual
horrible
70-year-old, but Jeff Goldblum.
Well, he's not Jeff Goldblum, but he's not Jeff Goldblum. You know what I mean?
Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum in every movie.
Yeah. With that, he is actually on the screen. It's not just a voiceover. When you watch when they're filming at the start, he's the actual host.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was just saying that his part of his thing is to be the narrator. So,
I apart from David Attenborough, I don't know if I'd see a 70-year-old flying up the Amazon.
I mean, he's just done documentaries on all the type of things for Disney.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
I haven't watched much.
It's the world according to Jeff Goldblum, and he's going around the place, and he's like, you'll go into different topics and all that type of thing. So he does do that at the moment.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen that.
I'm getting stuck with this again.
No, I'm going to give you his mine, lads, and I'm surprised neither of you went for it. I went with Stephen Merchant.
Okay, yeah, he's a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
very similar kind of build, kind of similar kind of actor.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I just said when Kiefer Sutherland came to me, I was like, the fact that he does voiceover work, I was like, yeah.
The only thing is, you're worse at. I think is Kiefer too built for it. I mean, he is Jack Bauer after all, and he's in talks to do another season of 24. Like
is that still going?
Well, no, it's over for a while now, but they're in talks to do another season of it. He's
definitely slimmed down a lot.
He's slimmed down,
but he's still
slimmed down a bit since then.
He's still Jack Bauer.
He was, but he's slimmed down quite a bit since then. He's definitely not the unit he was when he was Jack Bauer, and he wasn't huge as Jack Bauer either. You know.
No, but he was. He was that intimidating guy, and like anything that I've really seen Kiefer Sutherland in, he's always been like intimidating.
Yeah, but I think he's a good enough actor to be able to play the kind of timid.
I don't think I've ever seen him as a meek and timid guy. He's always been the ass, or he's been the,
That's
but also
he's always been an ass.
He has,
he has, but don't forget that
he's always been the ass. He's always been the racist. He's always been
Westridge is an ass though as well. Like, let's not forget that Westridge is a massive asshole.
He's always been the strong character.
Yeah, but
even when he's a villain, he's been he's not the timid, shy, meek guy.
Yeah, but Westridge does come in as the asshole in this when he's like, carry my stuff onto the boat.
He's so funny to Danny.
He is such an asshole when he first comes in, and then he just realizes that he's out of his depth with these other guys.
Oh, I think I'm gonna give it to Goldblum on that last argument. I think Kiefer Sutherland would make a great Paul Serone.
I have someone else for Paul Serone, you see.
I quite like my Paul Serone now, I must say. I've chipped and changed with my one.
I did think of Goldblum, but I just felt he was too old. I just felt 70 to be the guy on screen and going up that river and stuff.
Is he
70? I mean, technically, he's 69. Technically, he doesn't. He's not supposed to leave the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still,
I mean,
don't know if
I mean,
see a
David
second
Attenborough must be about fucking 357. He's still
lad,
going.
I think he's 96.
Yeah, but David
Yeah,
Attenborough's a different kind of guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't actually have a house. He just lives in the wild.
Yeah. No,
Injecting himself with turtle blood.
I did think of Goldblum, but I felt 70 was just maybe that bit too old to be an on-screen character.
I did want to really just. Granted, I wanted to have a real distinctive voice.
Yes. Yeah.
Goldblum definitely has. Once Goldblum speaks, it's Goldblum.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Now I will say,
Yeah.
up until that last argument, I was probably gonna go with Kiefer, other than the whole outright arsehole.
Yeah, but Westridge is an outright arsehole. It's only when someone pulls a gun on him and he becomes terrified. Yeah, but it's only when someone pulls a gun on him and is killing the rest of the crew that he becomes terrified of him.
He's terrified of everyone he is.
Yeah, after someone
apart from his golf clubs.
Yeah, after someone pulls a gun on him, then he gets terrified. Until then, he's still a pretty big asshole.
Right.
Who's up?
Carl. Champ rocked in the first round.
I don't know, rocked. That was a light
that was a close one. That was a
light
close
grazing, I think.
He landed the point though.
Just about.
We're gonna go with probably the least character in Denise.
Yeah.
Denise.
No,
okay.
Sorry, no, she wouldn't be. Kale would be, but we'll go with Denise.
Now, Kale's more important to the story than Denise.
Kale is, but he's in it the least.
Yeah.
Carrie Warrer originally.
Yeah.
Look, I went with someone who I think would do the role really well. I'm right. She's the producer kind of thing, or the director.
She's the sound. Her and Gary are the sound and.
Yeah, sorry, she's the production manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of someone kind of. I went with Kaylee Cuoco for this role.
From
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm basically shooting this as a B movie because that's kind of what it is.
But that's not what it is. That's not what it was.
It's not what it was, but it is.
But the movie doesn't exist. That movie was billed as an A-rated creature feature.
Yeah, I get that, but it's not.
But I don't think the actress for Denise isn't a huge name either.
No,
it's not. But Kaylee Cuoco's not really a huge name. Let's be honest.
No,
but Big Bang Theory.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that to a counterpoint to what Greg was saying of it was shot as a big film. Not this character wasn't. This character was just kind of plucked from obscurity.
They definitely ran out of budget for actors.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think the movie is big enough, like being remade or whatever, that Kaylee Cuoco would take this role. Let's be honest.
She'd take anything. Let's be fair.
Yeah, she's doing great work as Harley Quinn. On the animated series, but that's really all she's doing at the moment.
Yeah.
I think she'd be really good for this role, and as a production manager in this, I think she'd suit it down to the ground.
Yeah, that's
a good show.
I went a little bit younger for these two, for both this and for Gary Dixon. I went for two people kind of similar in age to each other for this.
I did too.
And I went a little bit younger here because the way they're kind of
take this into consideration, Greg, because they're together. So if you go with one and the other one's young or old, take it into consideration that
I felt that the way these two characters are presented throughout the film, until obviously Gary becomes a dick and turns his back on everyone, is that they're very flirtatious with each other and things like that.
Together.
Yeah, but they're very openly flirtatious. Like there's some people who are together, but they're not like really in everyone's face about it. Yeah, like that. And,
you see that with J-Lo and
with Kale and J-Lo. Yeah, not Westridge, no Kale. So I went with someone a little bit younger here. My first backup, I was thinking Sophie Turner because she hasn't really been up to much. And I was like, she could end up in that role. But I actually went with someone who's been in a few kind of horrors as it is and is starting to make a bit of a name. Someone I've used before anyway, in Maya Hawke. I think she would take this role. She could play that character very well. And she has the kind of horror background. So she'd pull in a little bit of a a name for that, and we know, not a big, as you said, Greg, not a big role, but this would be bigger than some of her roles and other things at the same time.
I mean, Stranger Things is pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, but like that's other than like that's a TV series, so I mean, her other roles are quite minimal, like Fear Street.
Look at us both going into TV actresses, huh?
Yeah.
Well, will we call it a full house on TV actresses?
Who have you got?
May as well.
Maya Hawke.
Yes.
I had Emma Watson, and I was like, she's definitely not taking that part.
Definitely too big of a name for that role.
Yeah.
Definitely too big.
Although I would love to see her get her neck broken.
No, I wouldn't like to see that. Good old Hermione.
Yeah, no. That was actually a late change there, just as we were obviously talking before we came on. I was going along and I was like, actress. I kept looking at it going, Emma Watson was the one I was really not happy with.
Fair.
And I was like, no. And I was like, obviously we use Anna Taylor-Joy. She wouldn't take it.
I was thinking of her and I was like, this role is too small for her now. I was thinking Thompson McKenzie. I said, too small for her now, really, as well.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at my list here. This is actually, of everyone that I've chosen here, I don't think they're all people that we don't generally go with.
Yeah.
Which is actually I'm happy about.
Stephen Merchant I used once before. Maya Hawke's been used a couple of times.
I think I've got two that we've used a few times, and one more that might have been used once or twice, but I can't remember if they have.
I definitely have one that's been used a couple of times, but not often.
Yeah, well, this is one of the movies where you get that filter to kind of free roll it out. There's no description of any character.
Yeah, the descriptions are kind of more what they do on set, except for 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. Right, so we might as well go to the other part of this couple, and we'll go with Gary, who was played by Owen Wilson.
Yeah, again, as I said, I went a little bit younger than the original actors and actresses in this for this one. So my backup was Harry Styles, who I thought would be quite good as the, seems like a nice guy and then turns out to be a dick. But then I went with someone that has definitely been used, and this is one of the ones I said we've used a lot of times, in Tanner Buchanan.
Fair,
who, does that role perfectly of being, oh no, everyone loves me. Oh no, actually you're a massive fucking dick who sold out all your friends.
And how? I thought you should have cast Peyton List then.
I was thinking that, but I was like, maybe that would be going a bit too far.
What happened? You're pulling on the old heartstrings of Cobra Kai there.
Also, she's probably the opposite way. She's a massive dick who turns out to actually not be as bad.
Yeah, there's that too.
I did choose someone that, when you look at him, he basically does the same thing. It's, you think he's a nice guy and then turns out to be a dick. It's basically all his movie roles and all that type of thing. This is the one that I have used a couple of times before. Scott Eastwood.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
I picked for Cyclops in the X-Men episode.
Yeah, he's the nice guy and then turned out to be a dick.
Yeah. Now I will say,
a bit big of a unit, isn't he?
He's a bit big, and also I will say that Carl said it before we did either of these picks.
I said take it into consideration.
Remember, take into consideration the age differences here.
But no, that's what I meant. Take it into consideration, like that. With
his pick,
with that, if you go with one, doesn't that necessarily have to coincide with the other?
Yeah.
Because in fairness,
I didn't cast them as a pair because obviously I don't like that idea, especially when we had the old Dogma episode.
No, I'm not saying to cast them as a pair either, but I'm just saying,
Both couples,
No, but I'm just saying don't take the fact that Maya Hawke is in her early 20s and then Scott Eastwood is 36.
Early 30s.
Well,
they could be together, so it's fine.
If you think about it, like Florence Pugh and Zach Braff together in real life.
Yeah, but that's
he's
real
about
life.
90.
Yeah, but that's real life. It's also films tend to try and. But my point was just that that Carl had said before to keep in mind that his was based off their ages of what he'd picked rather than
So I went with Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was obviously in Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
And he was it Maximoff in Age of Ultron?
Was he?
Or was it Age of Ultron?
It was, yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, I completely forgot that he was one of the Mclovin brothers.
I like him, yeah.
I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was in another really, really good thing recently as well.
Outlaw King. Outlaw King.
No, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll be 10 minutes trying to think.
Was it the King's Man?
No, he was barely in that.
No, I'm just trying to think of anything that he was in recently because I can't think of anything that he's been in since like Age of Ultron.
Oh, the Mayor of No, that's not him. That's the other guy. No, never mind. Never mind. Keep going.
Yeah. That's who I went with. Now the other name I had on it was Mclovin.
Christopher Mintz+.
I don't know if Mclovin is the.
I was intently trying to get him in, and I was like, too young to be Westridge.
I do love Mclovin, but I don't know if he's that character.
He's very hard to put into a movie. Let's be honest.
I was very happy with Aaron Taylor-Joy though, or Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
And there's only a couple of years. There's only about 6 years or something between the two of them. If I was casting that way, anyway.
Yeah.
Only 30 or something.
True.
Something like that. Yeah, they're close enough.
Right. Who am I going with? Pitch me one more piece and we'll give it at that. It's a tough one, this.
Yeah, I mean, it could really be anybody between the two. They're both good picks.
Like, I have an idea where I'm leaning, so someone just sell me.
I just think age-wise, I think these two work together very well, which obviously was part of my thing. But I did, like as Carl said, like we can't really use that as the basis, but it is part of what I used. But I also just see
Buchanan has too much of a nice face. That Scott Eastwood.
Owen Wilson has a nice face.
Owen Wilson,
he has that wonky ass nose.
No, Owen Wilson's a very lovable character. Like as a like when you see him fresh, you think he's quite a lovable character. A bit of an idiot, don't get me wrong, but like a lovable character.
Which suits Scott Eastwood. You can definitely
I think that suits Tanner as well. He's a bit of an idiot, like easily manipulated by those around him.
Owen's really good in this, like a really nice person in this, until that scene where they're in the jungle and he shoots the boar, and then he starts the fascination with him.
Yeah, he gets manipulated by this kind of older guy, which basically is exactly what happens to Tanner in.
Okay, but I mean,
Cobra Kai.
You're thinking more of a role instead of a character of the actor kind of thing.
No, but I'm saying the actor can portray that very well because we've seen him portray it.
Can I just pick mine and call it a draw?
Unfortunately, not.
All right, I'm gonna go with Tanner Buchanan. Surely because he's not as big a unit.
Yeah.
Oh, like he's a big unit. Like, don't get me wrong, he's
a big unit. You've seen those abs.
Yeah,
that doesn't make you a big unit though.
He has the abs, but he's not fucking.
He is though.
He's not
probably
jacked either.
He's probably one of like the biggest in that show.
Yeah, but none of them are like jacked. Like they're in very good physical condition.
Do you know who's jacked in it? Dimitri.
Yeah,
he's fucking shredded by the end of it.
Yeah, no, like they're all in very good shape, but you know, it's a different type of shape. Like they're not bulky guys; they're in shape people. Like,
yeah, right. Well, we might as well go to the least character. I did say the least character was Denise, but Kale is by far the least.
Kale's probably
he's quite important to it.
Very important, but yeah,
considering he's the director.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it stops being a film halfway through it.
It stops being a film after 15 minutes.
Yeah, after he gets put on the shelf.
That is horrendous.
It's me, yeah.
The costume he's wearing,
you know, he's the director. I can see him in this role very well. I don't like the actor, but I think he can do this role very well because Eric Stoltz at the time was probably the biggest name in the movie, if not very close to
Biggest
No.
actor, maybe.
it.
Biggest actor, yeah. The two big names were Ice Cube and J-Lo.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no, he wouldn't have been the biggest actor.
Cerrone
John
and
Voight
him.
would be.
Yeah, him and Cerrone are the two biggest actors.
Yeah.
And
Danny
then,
Trejo.
yeah, but Danny Trejo's in it about 5 seconds.
I went with Tom Hardy for this role.
Tom Hardy's a bit of a unit.
Yeah, but Eric Stoltz isn't small.
This doesn't have any implication on the show.
No, it doesn't, but I don't know, he's a bit of a unit, isn't he?
It doesn't really matter. I mean,
But I mean, as a director going up the Amazon, you probably want to be somewhat big and whatnot.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's no description of what.
No, I agree, but just he's kind of meant to be a doctor as well. I don't know if I bought, like, when I look at Tom Hardy, I don't think there's a genius fella. There's a genius looking fella. I don't think that when I see him either, but or a good-natured doctor. I definitely don't see Tom Hardy as that.
I don't know what he's a doctor of though, because he's not a medical doctor. So he's obviously like a doctor of
doctorate of
whatever.
Yeah, doctorate of something. Yeah. Probably history, I'd say, considering what he does. But this was one I found kind of tough to do, and I flitted through a few different people. So I had Sebastian Stan as a backup.
You'd have lost.
Because I think he's too big a name now.
You'd have lost.
Yeah. I had John Krasinski, who I think
you'd have won.
I think could do it quite well. My issue was I tried to play on the fact his age to J-Lo's character here, and I was like, maybe he might be a bit too old for who I went with there. So I went with somebody who comes across as quite a smart looking person, and I believe could be the kind of historical buff on this in Nicholas Hoult, who would have played Beast in
Mad Max.
No, Beast in
X-Men
Days of Future Past. He is in Mad Max, and then he was also, if you remember it from years ago when he was a teenager, he was in Skins. He was the lead in Skins.
He was
about a boy.
Yeah, very good.
That's him, yeah.
Very, very good actor, and just I think he has that thing where he comes across as quite knowledgeable, but also not an intimidating character either. Because I don't think I never felt that Kale was in any way intimidating to anybody around him, other than intellectually.
Apart from when he has a go at Cerrone the first time, really, but that's just kind of.
But that's an intellectual battle.
Yeah,
it's when he's like, well, actually, you're wrong because this is the true story. It's an intellectual one-upsmanship rather than a physical one.
Yeah. You'd have won with John Krasinski because that's who I had.
Yeah.
Oh,
see,
really?
I thought John Krasinski was really good until I had the person I have for Terry, and then I said maybe a little bit the wrong way there.
The one name I had, well, it wasn't the one name I had about 5 or 6. I had Steve Ewan for a long time, who was obviously Glenn in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's a decent one, yeah.
And then I was watching an episode of The Office come on the box somewhere along the way, and I was like,
John Krasinski is a good one.
Yeah, Krasinski is a good choice.
Yeah.
Also built. He is he's a unit these days.
He's quite built now, yeah. Not in The Office he wasn't.
No. But now he is a big unit.
He's bulked out a bit now, yeah.
Man's definitely in the gym about 5 times a week.
100% like that.
Can afford to be now.
He's Jack Ryan, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, he can afford to be now, you know what I mean?
Not to be mixed up with Jack Reacher, who's 6'7" and 7 foot wide.
Yeah, well, I've used him on something else before. I said he should have been the new Wolverine.
Yeah.
A previous episode.
Yeah, that was a good one. That.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult.
As I said, I was thinking of people who weren't too physically imposing because that's kind of the way the character is portrayed. Like he's mentally stronger than a lot of people, but like not a physical threat.
Tom Hardy, I can't think of the movie off, but he has played movies in which he is like a real smart guy in it.
He played Legend was one of them when he played the Cray twins.
It's not as if he can't play a smart guy.
No, I'm not saying he can't, but I think he's very physically imposing. Like
he is, but
I don't know if I don't believe anybody would be bullying that man that size. You know what I mean?
That's where costuming comes into play.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on what clothes you're wearing and all that in the movie, and you know, so he can look smaller than what he actually is.
Then again, when you think about it, no one really bullies him. To be fair, like the wasp stings him, that's fine.
No, but Cerrone keeps trying to, to intimidate him. Keeps trying
Cerrone is the type of character that just tries that with everybody.
Yeah, possibly
because he's just an ass.
Yeah, possibly.
I'll tell you what, I don't think they could have got a better person to do Cerrone than John Voight.
They could have chosen somebody
who could do the accent, but I think
or just got rid of the accent.
Yeah, but no, I do agree. I think he was a very good choice for that character anyway.
Yeah. I'll give it to Nicholas Hoult.
Yes.
Really?
Surely off just no idea. I just picked one at random. I'm not a great fan of. I thought Tom Hardy, and then he's a massive unit. And then I'm thinking to the scene where
you chose John Krasinski. He's a unit as well.
And then if you let me finish before I'm cutting in there, I was thinking back to the scene where he hits around with the golf club and he turns around and he just puts him down by holding his throat. I know he has a hole in his throat, but
yeah,
if let's be fair, if Tom Hardy hits someone with a golf club, he kills them.
Big old boy.
Then again, John Krasinski, anyone hitting anyone with a golf club, apart from me hitting Harry in the face with a golf club when we were younger. But
yeah, well, you were only kids then, and he deserved that, I'd say.
No, he just stood on the wrong side of the tee box. I legitimately hit him in the nose with a golf club.
No, he shouldn't have stood on the wrong side of the tee box. Deserved it.
And he took it like a champ too. Didn't even go down.
No,
the champ is rolling.
Jesus, if
I need one more.
If I'd got that Westridge one, which I thought I'd actually done quite well with Kiefer Sutherland, I thought, geez, I'd be already done.
I'm generally surprised none of these thought of Stephen Merchant.
Yeah,
I think Kiefer Sutherland just came to my head, and
once Jeff Goldblum came to my head, I stopped thinking.
Yeah, I think that's what happened with me. I had
It was game over.
Yeah, I had Warburton, and then I was like, yeah, that's probably good enough. And then then Kiefer came to my head. I was like, nope, that's better.
Right, we're down to 3. I'm gonna go with the worst acting performance in this. We're gonna go with J-Lo and Terry.
Terry Flores.
She was fucking atrocious.
Yeah,
she literally got hired off her sex appeal.
It's back to me first, is it?
Which is what I've done here.
It's back to me first, right? So what I went with here is
I already know who Carl is. Well, actually, I don't. I haven't looked.
No, you don't. Because I also went with a singer.
Oh, okay. So I also didn't go with an actress in the broad sense of the word.
Yeah.
I went with the same idea that the film went with when it was first cast, that they wanted a more global appeal and wanted to bring in a different audience. But I did take someone who has done a small bit of acting before that.
We might have the same person.
I don't think we do, because you said your person was a singer, and I do not believe mine is a singer.
Okay.
Her uncle may be a singer. But I don't think she is.
I know. Yeah.
Sasha Banks. I think Sasha Banks would knock this out of the park, and I think she would be a fucking far superior actress to J-Lo in this.
That would not be hard.
It wouldn't be, but I think Sasha Banks did very well as the
Mandalorian.
In the Mandalorian, where she is a bit of a badass, where she doesn't back down from the people around her. Now, not that she's never scared, because obviously you're going to be scared of a big fuck-ass snake coming at you like that, but she doesn't back down from Cerrone or anything. I think Sasha Banks could portray that. Well, we know she can portray that, scared character. We know she can from pro wrestling.
I went with someone who is a singer, like J-Lo, who does have some acting experience, actually quite recently as well. She was only in a movie that only came out last year. I went with Ariana Grande.
You're joking, right?
No.
You generally have to be joking with that.
You went with Ariana Grande as well, I guess.
I did my fucking Swizzler go with Ariana Grande.
I think he's very far away from you on that. I don't think I've ever seen a girl wear either used to wear so much white makeup to make herself appear super white, or
Yeah.
wear so much fake tan, and I don't know which one it is now at this
I know,
point.
yeah.
It's the
Same
first
here.
one.
It's I don't know that it is. I think she may just be that white and she just wears that much fake tan now. I have no idea.
No, Carl, really? You actually have to be joking with that.
I'm not, no.
That this ties
Like
all
she
over.
has acting experience. That's what I was thinking.
I know she does.
I
But
was looking for a singer with acting experience.
this ties over. That's a horrendous pick. I'm sorry, but
Well,
that's a
In fairness,
horrendous pick.
I was trying to cast someone as that J-Lo role.
I understand where you were coming from. That's a horrendous pick.
That's what I did, but I was like, when I first watched this, I was like, and we said we were going to recast it. I said, I know who I've got there, and it was the only name. Now I do have one backup there, only because I was like, Greg's the judge, and I don't know if Greg will think to go Sasha Banks, and I was like, I might just go with my safety of Zendaya, because Greg might just go Zendaya, who is actually also a singer. So I was like, oh shit, I hope Carl doesn't go with Zendaya.
I didn't go with Zendaya, actually. I went with Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, who I was like, those would have been my backups, but I said
no.
I bet on Sasha Banks here.
I'm not entirely sure J-Lo was hired off being a singer for this movie, because she'd come off the back of a couple of movies as well.
Yes,
True,
but her fame came from singing.
Like her
it
fame,
came from singing, yeah. There's no doubt about that.
That's where I was going with as well. I was going by big name to bring it in. And let's be honest, Ariana Grande is one of the biggest names. And outside of the wrestling sphere, Sasha Banks is not known very well.
I wouldn't have picked Sasha Banks other than
really.
I'm not picking Ariana Grande.
I think Sasha Banks, although pro wrestling is possibly a smaller, definitely a smaller appeal worldwide than singing, and I'm not debating that. I think there's a big enough wrestling audience there that if they heard, and like this is proven because wrestling people do go see things that wrestlers are in, and it doesn't matter how shit they are, because everyone went to see The Rock when he was in films, because The Rock was in a film and he was a fucking wrestler.
Correct.
So I think wrestling fans would go see this just because Sasha Banks was in it.
And theoretically, if you look at it, right, I'd say the margin audience of people that watch wrestling like horror. Movies.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually thinking if it wasn't for the fact that early on in this film, they refer to the fact that both Danny and Terry grew up in
the hood.
In the hood, I was like, do you know who actually would have been good there?
Lita.
No, Alexa Bliss would be quite good as a horror character, but I said she doesn't fit that role. But she is someone I would think, not this one, but another horror role. I think Alexa Bliss would.
Oh yeah, if you were doing like a Friday the 13th or something.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, I'm sorry that came across as really bad, but Jesus,
I was very worried.
Jesus, no.
Oh, well.
I was genuinely very worried about that one, and that's the one that I felt that if Carl was judging, I'd have felt a lot safer with than with Greg.
No, I'm generally giving it to you because I'm not picking Ariana Grande. Her voice would drive me to walk into the water for one.
Yeah. I'm happy for Sasha Banks. I genuinely do think Sasha Banks would be very good for that role anyway. But
well, look, Ariana Grande is a half decent actress, to be fair to her, and it wouldn't be hard to be better than J-Lo.
No.
But no, I generally would walk off the boat.
Well, let's see.
What happened? Mic drop. I'm out. Good luck.
Let's see if this one turns out to be
another hammer,
like a close one or a fucking absolute.
Well, no, theoretically, this could finish
4-3. Yeah, no, like cool. It's over, but like let's see if Carl can make a fight or.
So.
I do want to say that that pick was that wasn't bad on Carl or me helping Ted to a victory with that. Just no. No, I have no words for that one. I genuinely thought you were joking.
When you said you had a singer, I actually didn't think of Ariana Grande at all. I was like, Jesus, who does he have?
I thought he was talking about Zendaya.
No, I knew he wasn't talking about Zendaya because he wouldn't refer to her as a singer because she's an actress first, singer second.
Yeah.
He could have used the technicality on that. She's also a dancer, a model.
He could, but I think he would have referred to her as an actor first.
It's fair.
But
it's fair. Right.
Next one, Carl's first.
We'll jump on to Danny, who was played by Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. I was just gonna go. I went with O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Still.
This one I had a few people for. I was trying to think along the same lines of they went with kind of like a rapper. And I was thinking Drake, and I was like, but Drake's not intimidating, is he?
You'd have lost.
Yeah. And I was like, Drake's not intimidating. And then I was like, Donald Glover is an actor and a rapper. I said he could be intimidating if you wanted him to be, but he's a bit smaller than Ice Cube physically. So I went with someone who's just a flat out actor in Daniel Kahlua, who's done horror and stuff in the past. And I think
he's in movies that I like. Yeah, oh yeah.
I think he's quite good in what he does.
Good actor.
And
he is, yeah.
He's a big enough name that I think he would draw other horror fans into watching this, since a lot of our other names aren't really horror names. I think he might have been the one to help sell that.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Big unit, big old boy as well.
I had O'Shea Jackson Jr. as my backup. Yeah, I brought my homeboy in. I went with John David Washington.
Okay.
I will get him into a movie at least once before we give up this show.
You really like him, yeah? No,
he should. Like, it's the character he plays in Ballers.
I haven't seen Ballers. I've seen Tennant. I wish I hadn't, but
I haven't seen
Tennant. Wasn't the worst.
It's not the worst. It's just
he plays an American.
Could be Chris Nolan's worst.
Yeah, it's the Chris Nolan thing of it's confusing for the sake of confusing.
Well, no, I actually prefer Tennant over The Dark Knight Rises, but whatever.
No, well, I definitely like The Dark Knight Rises more than Tennant, but
right. Yeah, I'll give that one to Carl.
Yay!
Because he was my backup.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Daniel Kahlua we have used before, haven't we?
We have, yeah. I've used him a few times.
Yeah, and that's the other one I was like, we've used this one a few times.
We used him. Was it the Ocean's 11 one? I recast him.
I think so. Yeah,
possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, and he was the one that I was saying I think we've used a couple of times, and I think we may have used Nicholas Hoult once. I think Carl may have used him once before.
Yeah.
I might have used him twice before. But looking at this, like, I don't think I've ever used Tom Hardy.
This is out there now. This list is out there.
You don't like Tom Hardy.
The only one I think that I've ever used before is Scott Eastwood.
Did you not use Tom Hardy when we were talking about Bane? Did you not pick him as?
No, me and Carl had the same person as Bane.
Oh, you had Brock Lesnar. No, I'm pretty sure you used Tom Hardy because you were saying about putting shit on his face. If I remember correctly.
Maybe I did.
I think you might have used him as a backup. I don't think you used him as your actual pick, though.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe not. It was a rare one anyway. If I had you.
Yeah.
I thought.
What episode are we on here?
No, my thing with Daniel Kahlua was just that I thought he might pull in some of the horror acting fans because they know him by name.
It's a good show. Yeah.
I think he's an intimidating guy as well, in the same way that Ice Cube was quite an intimidating.
Do you know who else I had? I actually have it on the other sheet. Did any of you watch Suits?
No.
What's his name? Alex Morgan or Alex Williams. I'll get you his name now.
Alex Williams.
No, that's the character he plays.
Dule Hill.
Dule Hill. Yeah.
I don't know if he's as intimidating. I don't know if he'd be.
No, he's a small unit, but I like him as an actor.
A good actor, but I don't know if he's intimidating enough.
Right. We'll go on to the final one and we'll close out the show tonight.
Yeah.
We'll go to the single most racist accent you'll ever hear in any movie ever.
The character, however, is not.
The character is not, no.
The racist.
John Voight was absolutely phenomenal in this. And I'm pretty sure half the role was him fucking up the accent.
Yeah.
Just for, I think it's him trying to throw them off that who he is, probably.
Possibly, yeah.
He's meant to be he is meant to be South American in it.
Well, is he though?
The character is meant to be South American, yeah. And he just put on this accent to make himself. I always took it in the movie as he's telling them he's one thing, and then the accent keeps breaking. That's because it's a white guy doing it.
White people can be South American.
Yeah, I know, but this is a real.
Kaka was Brazilian and he was white.
This one was a strange one for me because when I watched it, one person came into my head straight away, and I think it may just be both the look and the way that he plays himself off as being a nice guy that's down on his luck and then turns into a complete dick. And then kind of before this show, I was thinking of someone else. The other person I thought of was David Tennant, who I thought could do the role quite well, but I don't think he's physically imposing enough to play Saron in this. So I went with someone who's a much bigger unit in Thomasine Griffith, who is Terry Silver in Cobra Kai.
That's a good show.
Who I think, if you look at him, like if you think back to how Saron's character looks, I think he looks quite similar as well. And I know that's not, necessarily important, but I think he looks quite similar. And, he's a dick.
He's a dick, all right.
Who I went with, he can play a nice guy and he can play a dick as well. I went with Michael Pena.
I know who that is.
You know him most from Ant-Man, I'd say.
He's the goofy sidekick in Ant-Man.
He's
not sidekick, but storyteller.
I was actually thinking of him in 30
Narcos?
Seconds. No, 30 Seconds. Another movie with Jesse Eisenberg with the pizza guy.
He's in a Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
I know it. Yeah,
not a great film, but
one,
it's not incredible. It's not great or anything, but.
I went with the ultimate bad guy, lads. I went with Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He was the biggest. John Voight was probably the biggest actor in the movie.
For this whole movie, I wasn't really trying for big name actors really. Throughout the whole thing, so that's why I stayed away from the likes of Javier Bardem.
I was actually quite impressed with the list that we put together because a lot of them were out there that we haven't used before.
Yeah.
To an extent.
I intentionally tried that.
Yeah. I mean, you don't mind sacrificing one week to get some new in, and if you pick up a win from it, you're like, great.
The risk is that you use them and then they get used against you the next week.
And you get slapped the week you use them, and you get slapped the week after.
Yeah, because they're now in everyone's mind.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one to Ted here, and it's going to round out the pounding. I don't like either of those picks really, though. To be fair, I think one is more likely to be a snake hunter than an older snake hunter, because if you watch it when he takes that newspaper is, I think it's dated in early 90s.
Yeah, he's
you're talking late 80s, early 90s. You're talking about 10 years. Michael Pena's only 40.
I'm not sure what age Michael Pena is.
I think even then, I think he's a bit too old as well.
He is 46.
Yeah. Well, he could probably get away with it, but.
Yeah, see, I think when I watched it, I think having just watched Cobra Kai when a little while before having watched this, I felt that Thomasine Griffith just looked very like the character, which isn't what it should be based on.
I've fallen into that trap a few times.
I've fallen into it, and I was like, but he's also a horrible little snaky bastard in Cobra Kai. Not a huge name as an actor, but still very recognizable as being a snaky bastard.
If you look at the list of people that we've picked, they're all not major actors.
No, none of them would be.
I think the two biggest names there probably, or three, would be Javier Bardem, Tom Hardy, and Jeff Goldblum.
Nicholas Hoult would be a big enough name as well.
Yeah. But then again, Bardem wasn't cast, do you know what I mean?
True.
No. Yeah.
That's
a big 5-2 victory.
Yeah. That's the scoreline. You beat me in your first defense.
Yeah, and it could have been 6-2 based on that first one. I think, guys, that one was on the edge.
That would have been 6-1.
That's
6-1, yeah.
I did that was a very, very close one.
If only I could have.
Carl made that. Carl made that very, very good argument about
The late one.
Kiefer.
It came to me right at the end as well.
What happened? I'm out of time. I need to keep going.
And I was closing in on that clean sweep.
Yep.
That I don't think that'll ever happen.
It'll be
It
tough
could
going
do
if it does.
eventually.
No, it could. It easily could, but it'd be tough going to get it.
Then again, I actually thought I was on for it the week that I beat Carl. When Carl went 2-0 up or 3-1 up. I was like, I fully expected to try and nearly sweep that one.
Well, lads, what I'm doing for you is next week.
I don't want to play anymore.
Grant, I'll take the victory. Keep me going.
It's something I think we've only done once before. It is. We did it with Rocky.
Oh, the franchise.
Yeah, we're not just doing one film. We're doing a franchise.
Okay.
And it's a comedy franchise. If you know me, you know I love comedy. So I'm going with a comedy franchise. Here.
Hold on. Before you go with this, you're saying you love comedy. You'd never seen The Breakfast Club. Don't you give me that bullshit.
It was older, okay? It was older.
Comedy franchise.
Do you like Meet the Parents?
No.
Well, watch because you have Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers to watch.
I like
We're recasting the two of them.
I like
to meet the third one of them.
We don't talk about that.
Okay.
I
don't know if I've seen the third one. I just know there's the third one.
I barely like talking about the second one, if I'm honest.
I like the second one.
Is the second one with the birthday party?
Yeah, that's the one with Dustin Hoffman and Susan Sarandon going into it.
Dustin Hoffman is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand, not Susan Sarandon, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The first one's very good. I think Meet the Parents is very good.
Yeah.
I think the second one
it goes down, but it's still.
I think it's significant. I think it's a significant dip to the second one, and then the second to the third is also an even bigger significant dip. So
you don't talk about the third one. I've watched it once, and I'll never watch it again.
When you actually said comedy franchise, I was thinking to myself, Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh Jesus, that'll be a tough one.
Maybe that's down the line.
There's like 8 million films of that.
There's 3.
It always feels like there's loads.
True.
8 million of them. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Don't forget to like, share, all that good stuff on YouTube, Facebook.
Comment, lads. Comment.
Spotify, whatever, wherever you listen to it. Throw the comments on to let us know who you think should have won, or what picks you would have had, or what films you'd like to see us do in the future. And of course, don't forget to vote on the polls on Carl's Instagram page. And he's now going to be able to put up the judges' picks as well, I believe.
Yes, they've been. You'll see there. I've started putting them up. All 3 picks, so you'll get to vote on the judges' pick there as well. And so we'll see of all 3 of us which one came in the best.
Yeah, which will be an interesting dynamic for us, because obviously we can't do that here with, because if you're a judge, you're just going to pick all your own ones anyway. So
exactly,
it doesn't work there. But
and
until
also,
next week,
if you think you'd like to challenge somebody,
yeah, let us know.
Drop us a shout, and we'll try and organize a special episode.
I do like coming up. I do like those challenge episodes with other people going up against each other.
It's pressure off us. It's pressure off us.
There's also maybe a family affair coming up down the line.
Yes.
We won't say too much.
And no, it's not Carl versus his dad.
That's because Big Rob would win. He'd slap the shit out of him.
Maybe.
Shout out to Big Rob.
But until next week, I'll continue on as champion, and hopefully I can, beat Greg in Meet the Parents. But I don't know, that'll be a tough one, I think.
I'm genuinely calling a Ted win on this one.
And
before I even go into it,
I'd happily take that, but unfortunately, that is never seems to be how it works. It can always be the one you think you're going to get beaten on that you end up winning.
To be fair, I called you a Ted win for Princess Bride, and I won. I was very surprised with that.
But until next week, look.